Good morning, folks. I am your host, BKP. Welcome to BKP Politics on FYN TV. Today, we have a full schedule for the next 2 hours, 8 to 10. We're going to have, let me tell you first what we have on tap. I feel like you just came to the bar. What's on tap? Okay. But here's what we have this morning for you. At 8:30, we're going to have former Georgia House Representative member Vernon Jones. This will be the first time on the show as a Republican. Okay. So many of you know Vernon Jones, now Republican, lifelong Democrat, switched parties last Wednesday. Okay. We understand he made that announcement that he was now a Republican last Wednesday at the mega rally, now known as Storm the Capitol Wednesday. Wow. Interesting. So Vernon Jones will be with us. And here in Georgia, does he have statewide aspirations? Why did Vernon switch to Republican? And is he planning a run? We'll ask him a couple questions. And if after Wednesday he's still a full supporter of Donald J. Trump. So we'll have Vernon at 8:30. At 9 o'clock, we're going to have Georgia House Speaker David Ralston with us. Okay. And I know what some of you may think. Okay, really, this is what you have time for? But let me tell you, it's not every day where, in Georgia, we get into the written version of the articles of impeachment. Okay, number 50. All right. And this really, really bugs me today. Now, first of all, it's easy to figure out Trump is the greatest president ever. Now, I have held some reservation on that because, I didn't quite know GW. I didn't know George. I didn't know Abraham. I wasn't around Jefferson. I don't know. All right. But 2 times. Trump does everything big. He goes big or goes home. Well, he might be going home. But 2 times the man is going to be impeached. He will be impeached. Okay. There's like 20 Republicans that are on board with impeachment. Okay. And the House, it's like Nancy Pelosi said, he will always be an impeached president. Now he's going to always be 2 times. I mean, he's like Raisin Bran, 2 scoops with this guy, boy. And I'm not making fun of it. I think it's just I don't know what to make of it. I have to tell you, I just don't know what to make of it. But he's going to be impeached twice. Never done that before. He's going to hold that record along with everything else Trump's done and his accomplishments. So he's got to be great. But here it is, okay? Prior efforts include a phone call. No, not another phone call involved in impeachment. The guy is not only going to be the only president impeached twice in history, it's going to have a phone call. But who could we thank? Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Okay. Prior efforts include a phone call on January 2nd, 2021, during which President Trump urged the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, to find enough votes to overturn the Georgia presidential election results and threaten Secretary Raffensperger if he failed to do so. Threaten him. A little quid pro quo. Look, I'm sending boys down there. Vinny, Vito. I got 4 guys that their first names start with a V, and they're on their way. Yeah. Find me some votes, Brad. Well, we understand that Deputy Secretary Jordan Fuchs is the one that recorded the conversation, got it off to WAPO just in time, so Brad Raffensperger could get his side of the story out. before Raffi, that's what we'll call him. Raffi ended up in some of those Trump tweets, which no longer exist. I mean, this has got to be a great time for some of these people. I mean, could you see the articles of impeachment coming out and Trump having a device like Twitter with 88 million followers where he could just say, hey, Raffensperger, you know, I told you I'll be down to campaign against you. All right. But here's what I want to ask. Florida has now our understanding, and this is not the whole show. I'll have Georgia House Speaker David Ralston on with us at 9 o'clock. All eyes were on Georgia about the election. Okay. Georgia, hey, we're the guys that brought you 50-50 to the Senate. That's us. We're the ones. We brought you 50-50. We're the ones that brought you Joe Biden over the top. That's us, man. I'm sorry. That's us, right? So all eyes on Georgia State House that started, the 2021 legislative session started yesterday, okay? So all eyes on what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Now, in an AJC article, what did I tell you yesterday? Now, this is one of those days I'm going to get to say, and it's not, this is the show where we are out in front studying the deep state corporate corrupt media. That's my focus on this show. You guys send me great stuff, you really do, but my main focus is studying the deep state corporate corrupt media, seeing what they're going to do next, studying the Rhino establishment, seeing what they plan next. This is the show where we are out in front of it. I have several things today, I told you yesterday, coming down the pike, and they have, okay? Bottom line. So I'm going to ask, supposedly Jordan Fuchs, let me get past this, the Deputy Secretary of State of Georgia recorded the phone call in Florida. Florida has a two-party verification. Both parties have to know the phone call is being recorded. Now, I don't know, good, bad, ugly, you can make an argument. But I don't know if maybe it's time for Georgia to do that, put that in place. So we'll ask Speaker Ralston that. But yes, Brad Raffensperger, you have made, I don't know where to start. Really, I want to go around here a little bit, but I don't know where to start. Hey, let me say this really quick. You know, let's give a shout out is deserving of a shout out. So let me just say this, okay? Like Alabama or not, number 36, like Alabama or not. I said that twice, right? Did I call for 36? I don't know, Emily. Emily, good morning, by the way. Nick Saban, folks. Nobody in the business of college football, nobody knows how to, you got to keep in mind, these are young men. They are. These men are 18 to 22 years old. They're young men, okay? They're not multimillionaires yet. They're not doing bad, you know. They're getting free shoes and pizza, but at the same time, they're not multimillionaires. They're young men. And Nick Saban is the best that I've ever seen at getting young men ready for a game like this. Nobody knows how to get. Just give me a shout out to Alabama this morning and Nick Saban for the national championship. When you're playing Saban in the national championship, hey, he wins some, he loses some. Most of the time he wins. But again, nobody knows how to get a team ready to play on this kind of stage, okay? This kind of stage. Hey, give me number 20, like Amazon. Amazon kicked Parler off, right? So pro-Trump conspiracy theorists find new home online. Amazon, right? The web server kicked Parler off there. Give me number 19, all right? And, you know, this is interesting because they can just kick them off the web server. All right. I think Parler's trying to look for a new host. We're going to talk about, the tech industry. You see, it's the tech industry that gathered up money. They got together. This is very scary. They got together immediately. All of them got together. Google, every one of them. All right. And what did they do? What did they do? They come together very quickly to shut some things down. Very scary time, okay? Very scary time. So, I told you yesterday, this guy cannot be in 2022. Yesterday, supposedly, give me number 30, all right? Number 30. Trump, all right? He watched the riots on TV. Kevin McCarthy, I told you yesterday, all right? Yesterday, I told you Kevin McCarthy cannot be the next Speaker of the House. Well, wait a minute. Nancy Pelosi is going to be the next Speaker. No. Easy. 2022. I want to get ahead of this because I said yesterday, it's Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy said to the President of the United States yesterday in a phone call, and we will get deeper into this throughout the day, okay? I'm trying to hit on all the cylinders before it's time for our guest this morning. But Kevin McCarthy says, hey, enough. Supposedly, he's on the phone with the President of the United States, right? And he's supposedly on the phone with the President of the United States, and he says, enough already. It's over. Yeah, that's supposedly what happened, right? They're really blowing this up this morning. Give me number 9. Number 9, scoop, Trump's phone call with Kevin McCarthy. Number 10, Trump's phone call with Kevin McCarthy, right? It's over, man. It was the MAGA. I know it for a fact. It was not Antifa. It was MAGA. I have it here somewhere. Number 44, Kevin McCarthy. Trump blames Antifa for riot. McCarthy would have none of it. So they're building up Kevin McCarthy as standing up to Trump yesterday in this phone call. He stood up to him. McCarthy would have none of it, telling the president, it's not Antifa, it's MAGA. It's Make America Great Again. It's MAGA. I know I was there, according to a White House official and another source familiar with the call. Right? Interesting. So, Kevin McCarthy, it's over, man. Enough. Supposedly said to the president, enough. It's over. Now, there's a nationwide manhunt. Yes. First of all, they're looking for this guy right here. Number 1. He carried a Confederate flag in the halls of Congress. They're looking for him. A nationwide, this is not a joke, a nationwide manhunt for this guy, okay? Number 6, FBI asked for public help IDing rioter with Confederate flag. Number 7, right here. They are looking for you. They are using facial recognition, and they are looking for you. Folks, number 16. Quickly here, I got it. Twitter. Twitter removes 70,000 accounts linked to pro-Trump QAnon conspiracy theories. If you've ever retweeted something that was from someone that has a link to a QAnon account or has retweeted something that is linked to QAnon, if someone sent you something from QAnon and you read it on Twitter or whatever, trust me, okay? They are putting all efforts in looking for you. I'm serious as could be, okay? Now, there's something I want to show you before we get off to our interviews this morning. And I have it here. Number 27. Now, I'm thinking right now that January 20th, I may head down to the Capitol for news reporting reasons of Georgia. Okay? Let me say that. That's a Wednesday. That's next Wednesday. I'm not for sure, okay? Because I don't have a lot of guest hosts that can do the show. Maybe I could do the show live from the Capitol. FBI intel warns of armed protests at state and U.S. capitals. Now, here's what they're looking for. FBI internal bulletin. Number 28, threats of uprising if Trump's removed before inauguration. Number 28, oh, you got it there. Threats against President-elect Biden, okay? Threats against Vice President-elect Harris and House Speaker Pelosi, all right? All 50 states, the capitals, have been given a warning. Here's where I want to take this. They will... When you wonder how serious it is of searching us out and changing speech, you have to understand one thing, a couple things I'm correct about today, okay? What did I tell you yesterday? Just the fact, okay, that we did not believe the results. Just the fact that we questioned what happened at 4 a.m. the morning after Election Day. Just the fact that we questioned being able to see the ballots, verify signatures. Just the fact that we questioned anything on the election led by Donald Trump. That's part of the impeachment. It's how he led us to believe something false from the beginning. You accepted fraud, okay? You have to be retrained. I know, oh my God, he's losing it. They're going to retrain us. No, you have to be retrained according to the government. You accepted fraud, okay? That's what they're saying. Now, I'm correct on that. You got to be retrained. Trump incited a riot, insurrection, sedition, all the things that I can't pronounce very well, okay? Because he went to rallies, he held rallies, he had tweets, he said it wasn't over, we were constitutionally challenging this, all the above. Okay, so we have to be retrained. Now, the other thing, and I've got to hurry because I don't have a lot of time, 8:30, I got to guess. Give me number 32. And pay attention to this one because it's coming. And if you haven't heard it, pay attention. 2 Capitol police officers suspended for role in riots, okay? They are, listen to me, they are, remember, defund the police, right? And Democrats said, we don't want to defund the police. We just want to fix it. And you remember systemic racism, and we want to fix it. And we want to go into law enforcement and make some changes. Remember that. Just think about that today. Go all the way back to defund and systemic racism and how we want to go through and we want to cut the budget in law enforcement. And we just want to make changes to law enforcement for the betterment of mankind, right? Let me tell you what that equals. You see, defund the cops brought the coppers to Trump's side, right? You have come to the top. If you're in law enforcement, you will, under the new Joe Biden, nicer, softer cop program, okay, and reform law enforcement for the betterment of all mankind in the world, okay, not defund, you will be singled out. Did you support Donald Trump? There's a concern right now with what side retired military, what side some of the military. I'm listening. I'm not making this up. You can't make this up. I listen to all the newscasts. Okay. They're wondering what side some of the military, they have military that are QAnon supporters. They're wondering what side all law enforcement's on. Yes. They will start. You are going to find out, and the law enforcement that stand with the people, I put it that way, or the government. I said this before. I told a lot of people, and I asked you to listen and say, hey, watch what happens. It's happening, folks. Trust me on this one. Now, one more I want to get to, okay? And I want to tell you this. I won't get to this till about 9:30. I'm going to explain the retraining. Yes. If we have MAGA hats, if we have a button that says stolen, anything and everything, they're going to tell us we have to be retrained. They're going to give us a list of words we can't say. There's going to be domestic terrorism laws, hate crimes. But in the AJC, there's an article, and let me go to break on this, but let me say this. Governor Kemp, photo ID requirements for absentee ballots front and center this year. Now, what did I tell you yesterday? Well, I was giving you a chance to think for the 2 hours of everything I said, right? What did I tell you? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I told you yesterday. I said, if nothing made it to the courts, if all of the ballots and the truck driver that lied, and I say that facetiously, right? The truck driver that lied, that carried the ballots, if all of the things that happened in Philadelphia, if everything that happened with the Pennsylvania, there should be 400,000 thrown out, everything that happened in Michigan, everything that happened in Wisconsin, everything that happened in Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, every single thing, every hour of testimony, hours on end, every example, all lawsuits, if nothing stuck, not even stuck anywhere, and it's totally Trump carrying out a fraud to where even Kevin McCarthy said yesterday, right? Enough. It's over. Enough, right? It's over, man. So Governor Brian Kemp is talking about photo ID requirement for absentee ballots. So that's nice, a little too late. But we get down in the article from the AJC, and let's see here. Democrats and voting rights experts say there's no need. There's no need of tightening the rules. There's no evidence of any widespread voting fraud. Wow, I wondered if that would happen. And then they go on with a quote. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no evidence or reason to believe our signature match system is insecure, said State Representative McLaurin, Democrat from Sandy Springs. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Hey, folks, how about this? You want to talk? I didn't know what the R word was. I got to go to break, but I didn't know what the R word was. So, headline on Fox News, NASCAR sending driver Haley Deegan to sensitivity training for using slur during online racing. Play the slur. Play the slur. Really quick, that video. We got to go to break, but play that.
This is fun. Oh, hey, who's the retard behind me? Don't do that, please.
All right, so I'm reading this, okay? NASCAR is sending driver Haley Deegan to sensitivity training after her slur. Deegan was heard using blah, 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 the R word. And I have to tell you, before I watched the video, I was like, is there a word? Damn, they got a new word, the R word. Right? I didn't know it was retard. Don't get mad at me. I didn't know that. But they're sending her. She has to have sensitivity training completed. Will need to complete the course before she starts the 2021 season. You don't think your ass is going to sensitivity training? Oh, you have lost your damn mind. I'm your host, BKP Politics, right here on FYNTV.com. When we come back, we welcome a Republican to the show, Vernon Jones. Take a break.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World has 9-piece living room packages at incredible prices. Get this stylish sofa and love seat, 3 tables, 2 lamps, 43-inch 4K TV, and stand, all for only $1699.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this 9-piece living room and reclining sofa and reclining love seat, now only $1999.99 or $149.99 a month. These packages are amazing. Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
All right, folks, we are back, and I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on FYNTV.com. Now, let's just go back, set this stage just a little bit. DeKalb County, Georgia. We'll go back several months. This gentleman came out and said, I support, as a Democrat, I'm going to support Donald Trump. And I'm not going to tell you what broke loose, but all of it broke loose down there in DeKalb County. The man got threats. The Democrat Party just really went after this guy, and he said, I don't care. I've looked at the president. I've looked at what he's done, and I'm going to support the president. So he comes on the show. First time I asked him, man, you sure sound like a Republican, but a lifelong Democrat. So here we are. I'm going to introduce him now. And we want to welcome Republican Vernon Jones to the show. Mr. Jones, how are you today?
How you doing this morning? That sounds good, doesn't it? Republican Vernon Jones. Well, that sounds so good.
Well, I remember, and I'm glad to have you on here. Vernon Jones is the new session has started. He's a former Georgia House member as a Democrat, lifelong Democrat. And the first time we had you on the show was immediately after you announced you were supporting President Trump. And that did not go well in the Democrat Party. It got a little ugly at that time. But you stayed committed all through from the time you announced for campaigning for the president and working as hard as you can during 2020. Let's just go right in. Why the decision? You made that last Wednesday, correct, in Washington, D.C., the public announcement to the crowd. Am I correct?
You're correct. And first of all, let me say thank you for having me. And I appreciate your listeners tuning in. You're the one place they can go where they can get facts and real news, real time. When I announced to support President Trump, actually, I supported him in 2016, but nobody paid me any attention because they didn't think he could win. But when I announced in 2020, you're right, all hell broke loose. I support this president for one thing and one thing only, results. President Trump has gotten results in just 4 years. Can you imagine if he'd had 4 more? He did what Thomas Jefferson called, I remember when Thomas Jefferson said, every 20 years we need a revolution. And what is a revolution? Radical change. President Trump brought in radical change. He drained the swamp. And I like that about him. And let me tell you, I dug in like a tick on a blue tick hound. And I'm with him. I supported him. He's made major accomplishments from this country, and that cannot be erased from the history books.
All right. You dug in, you're with him. And that's a question I got yesterday. I put out there that you were going to be on the show, and I got a question back. Does Vernon Jones still support the president of the United States today? And you say you're with him. So do you still support? We understand from the way I put it, we're not okay here with any kind of violence. We don't want to see violence in our country. We don't want to see anything at any time. Riots, burning, looting, breaking windows, anybody getting killed. I mean, it's just not okay. But, you were up there last Wednesday. Tell us a little bit about being there last Wednesday, the patriots you spoke to, and your support of the president still today.
Well, first of all, this president has done unprecedented things, and you cannot ignore his accomplishments, and I will support those to the end of the day. You said it right. There's zero tolerance for violence. I don't care who you are, where you are, there's zero tolerance. However, there can never be enough room for the right to protest for your rights in a peaceful way. And what I saw in Washington, D.C., and that sea of people over at the White House grounds, I saw a sea of patriots and Americans, those who were embedded with the Constitution in their hearts, and they believe in protecting all of our rights under the Constitution. And they supported this president because this president understood the importance of supporting this Constitution. And so let me be clear. Nobody accepts violence, but every American, true-blooded American, want to be able to stand up for their constitutional rights. And it's their duty to let Congress and all of our officials from federal to the local level know what we feel and what we believe and what we support. There's in a peaceful way. This president has, when I was at that event, this president never uttered a single word that would give anybody the impression to go and commit any type of violent act. If he said it, then I didn't hear it. And I was there and I heard his whole entire speech. And everybody was there, saw and heard that. What people don't know is there were so many people in Washington. There's such distaste among so many Americans. I'd say at least half of the American people, including that 75 million people that voted for Donald Trump, who feels as though there was an abortion of integrity in our elections. And they are merely seeking integrity, free and fair elections, period, point blank. Now, those others that broke the law, it was so many people. By the time I even head in that direction, it was so crowded, so many people already there. So it wasn't like President Trump planned this particular event and said, okay, we're going to leave here, we're going to go there. People there for their own purposes and their own reasons. And so I think it's unfair. And you know, what's really unfair is when I see what happened all summer long with Antifa, Black Lives Matter, burning, breaking into storefronts, looting, rioting, even killing young children. And Joe Biden never stood up and nor that Congress. Joe Biden never stood up and denounced them head on. Antifa, y'all a terrorist group. Black Lives Matter, you're a terrorist group. Or did I see Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party in Congress denounce them? Matter of fact, they did the opposite. They made excuses for them. Why did they not pass an urging resolution that should have passed with no dissenting votes, an urgent resolution to stop the violence and declare those two groups terrorist organizations? Why didn't they do that? And why did the media, the liberal media, hold them accountable? And so the hypocrisy of this, everybody is, clearly we all distraught by the violence, and anyone that lose their lives is one too many. But the way the media has rolled out, and then those Trumpers there, those supporters of this president, we know each other. There was a sense, you know, that's the only time in all those big rallies up there, there was no Antifa counter protesters.
Yeah,
they were silent that day. That's the only time I've never seen them there. And you know what? Within the crowd, people, in this film, the videos are coming out now. People are saying now, you see people identify, hey, those aren't Trump people. They're perpetrators. You saw Trump people pulling those folks who were violating the law. You can see some of the tapes where they were pulling them back. I've seen all of them, but most of people
Wait, you know,
at that rally. You
know, Vernon,
law-abiding citizens.
Let me say this: if you're watching some of the networks, if it was anyone else, they would report it as a couple hundred bad actors got out of line while there was peaceful protests going on, mostly peaceful protests going on at others. We've seen that all around the country, but now it is storm the Capitol and mobs and you know the what they are using to describe happened. And I don't want to make light of it and just say a couple hundred, you know, bad actors, but reality is it was a couple hundred people that went into the Capitol. Should not have, you know, it's a shame they couldn't go in the Capitol and actually be seated in the gallery, but we'll go there at a different time. They closed this Capitol to these people. They didn't close this Capitol at other times. But that being said, you know, that's the reporting. It's not that there's a couple hundred bad actors and mostly peaceful protesters. And also, let me say to you, because I remember we had you on the show immediately after the you spoke as a Democrat at the Republican National Committee convention, and the attack on lawmakers, different lawmakers on the way back to their hotel from the convention that took place up there in D.C. We didn't see the mayor all that concerned about the the people that attended the convention. Remember that? I know you remember it.
That's part of the hypocrisy. That video when I was attacked and Ron Paul was attacked went viral. Now, I didn't see CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, The View, Rachel Maddow, none of them ever called me and asked me about that experience that I went through. Not a single phone call from those networks at all. No newspaper, Washington Post, New York Times, none of them called me and asked me about my experience. And let me tell you, my life was threatened. Those officers' lives were threatened. But no, they didn't talk about Miss Alice Johnson, who President Trump, who commuted and pardoned her. What about her? She was attacked. And so my point is that that's the hypocrisy. And you said it right. They'll stand in front of rioters and looters in Portland and Seattle and say, with buildings burning, and say it's mostly peaceful protesting. They'll say it's mostly peaceful protesting with buildings burning down behind. But I go back to what you said, and we got to think about this too. You know, we know what they're doing. We know the left and how they act. We know that. But we have to, the reason why I joined the party, I wanted to bring grand new ideas to this grand old party. New ideas of opportunities, new people, new ways of taking, new ways of building upon what the GOP has already done, but at the same time being able to protect our Constitution. And I'm going across this country all over speaking on protecting this country, protecting our Constitution, but as well as a conservative message, traditional families, hard work, less government intervention, the things that President Trump pushed for, working with historical Black colleges, working with, helping to create small businesses and expanding those businesses. That's what I want to concentrate on. And I want to get the American people, I want to get those who support President Trump to come back, and let's get ready for 2022 and 2024.
All right, hold on the brakes. Just a minute. Pump the brakes a minute, because you got up to 2022. That's where I want to get in.
Okay.
Just a minute. All right. Yeah, exactly. Well, the last time you're on the show, let's see if I have the quote. You know, I may have left the field, but I haven't left the sideline, or what? How did you put that? What was that?
Well, I said I'm walking off the field, but I'm not leaving the stadium.
Right. Okay. So let's go there. So exactly when? All right. You know, here's what some people say. Okay, Vernon just didn't get up today and decide he's going to be a Republican. You know what? And Vernon's not going to leave the big stage. And I will say this. I'm going to say this candidly to you. I think you've done a very good job, sir, campaigning for our president. I really do. I have been to a lot of events, not just hearing you campaign on news cycles. I have been to a lot of events, and you really you did in 2020 put it all out there for both Senate seats, trying to keep those red, and the president. So I'm going to say that, but Vernon Jones in 2022, when are we going to, I mean, we've got just saying, this is me, just saying, we got president said somebody might primary the governor, Secretary of State. I know Warnock is up in 2 years. I mean, when do we expect to hear what might be in your future?
Well, let me tell you, my future.
You know, I had to do that.
And this is no political answer response. My future is deeply rooted in the American future. And that is supporting our law enforcement officers, standing up to these foreign countries like President Trump did, and making sure they pay their fair share, having immigration laws that work. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You know, when I look at school choice, there's so many African-American kids. There are many kids, not just African-American. There are many American children who are trapped in failing schools because of their zip codes. That is not right. That parent knows what's best for that child's education, not the government. And so let the money follow the child to a performing school. So that's where my head is right now. Now, let me be clear about this. I feel like a lot of other people feel. We need more election transparency and integrity. I'm passionate about that. I don't know what the future holds in terms of me pursuing public office again. I know right now I had a hard year this year. I lost my brother and my mother, and I need some time off. And so I have really, and I've been working right up until this last election. And I'm tired, but my soul is rested. And I'm committed to the cause. I'm committed to those folks listening right now who want to see people stand up for them and fight for them. And that's what some of the frustration about. They don't feel like some of our current state leaders have been fighting for them. And you know, the Democrats, they may have beat us with a better strategy. They ran in a pack. Our party, the leadership, we didn't run in a pack. And I think they had a profound impact, as well as the abuse from mail-in ballots. But we got to come together, run as a pack, run to, again, stand on our Constitution, fight for our Constitution. That's all people want. They want to be heard, and they want to see us fighting for them. So I'll have no plans on running for anything.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Again, welcome to the Republican Party. But you come in at a time when the Republican Party's they're trying to define themselves. You have never Trumpers. You have people that turn their back on the president, and then you have the president's supporters that don't really get called Republicans, but they're the supporters. So you do come in at a time where Republicans are trying to find their way. Let me ask you this question as a former member of the Georgia State House. So for our national viewers out there that are tuned in, Mr. Jones used to be a Democrat state representative in DeKalb County, Georgia. So you are familiar with some things happening under the Gold Dome. What would you've been a part of some of this election law in the past. So today, what would Vernon Jones, State Representative Vernon Jones, like to see changed for election integrity for 2022 in Georgia? What kind of laws would you like to see and legislation in this session, sir? Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now. Did you?
I was going to say, again, I want to be clear about something. I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. This is not the party of John Kennedy. It's just not. And I want to be clear. I just cannot accept a party that believes in defunding the police. It's kind of ironic when that happened in Washington. What was the first thing they were looking and screaming to be protected by was the police department. And that same crowd, Nancy Pelosi and others, were for defunding the police. So that's why, I identify more with the Republican values. And don't forget, I didn't just fall off the truck yesterday. I supported George W. Bush. Matter of fact, I lost my runoff in the United States Senate because they said that I had voted for George Bush, and I didn't back off of it then. I'm not backing off of it now. So it's always been there. Let me be clear. I didn't have a revelation, I'm going to leave the Democratic Party and join the Republican Party. Now, with that being said, I plan to be active in the upcoming session because the most important, in my mind, there are two pieces of legislation I think is important. One is election integrity. And what I mean by that, we have got to look at that Dominion system with a high probability of replacing it because you can change votes. Two, we have to make sure that we close the loophole on the abusive area of mail-in ballots. Number three, we have to start to put together a state database with national data, meaning that every state in this country, we're able to get real-time their voter files so we can look when somebody registered to vote. Let's bounce that against other states and see if that person is registered in other states. That's what I'm talking about. Whether they passed that or not, but that's fresh ideas, new ideas, and a lot of this is coming from people, common sense people. So that's what I see going there. And that is so critical. You know that because people lost trust.
We got to be careful, and I know you know this. where we want local control, and I think this is where the people, you got to be careful. You want local election control, but you can't go to the state of North Carolina. I live 15 miles from here, okay? And if I went into the state of North Carolina DMV office and asked for a driver's license, they would immediately look at me and say, "You have an active driver's license in Georgia." Immediately, just like that.
Right.
Okay. And we have national databases, and I kindly get a little, concerned because a lot of people don't like to be in data. But when it comes to like a driver's license, so voter registration, you should be able to tell just like that, hey, you're registered currently in Arizona. Period.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Is that where you're going with that?
That's where I'm going with that, because guess who has that database? These political hacks and consultants, they have those databases on all 50 states. You don't think Stacey Abrams and George Soros and Unfair Fight, I call them, you don't think that they do not have those databases? They work in every state. They have these databases. This is available. It's public information. So we have to look at, what can we do? Now, I'm not saying this is a silver bullet, but it will continue to eat away at the possibility of election fraud. And because this is sacred, it's so important. It is sacred. Where will the data be housed? Is this data been housed in foreign countries? Where is it? Think about that. There's many were talking about connections with Dominion and Venezuela. Where's that data hired? Are those companies foreign companies who have financial interests in our election machines? You have to look at all of that. There should be requirements when people submit their system, their voting systems. What is their financial connections with existing politicians, with existing parties? Wait a minute. What is their affiliation with the big tech companies? Because right now, when you look at Zuckerberg and others, Zuckerberg put out there $350 million grant for the left groups, these organizations, to apply to get money to be involved in this election. So, we have to look both ways before we cross the next time around.
Zuckerberg gave grants in the area, $350 million under the name Center for Tech and Civic Life. I'm with you 100%. I want to say quickly, because I only have a minute and a half here on a hard break. I want to say quickly, what say you on this attempt to impeach the president of the United States? And you said election fraud. Do you still believe there was fraud? Because part of the impeachment resolution is the fact that I guess you and I don't accept that there was no fraud in this election. What say you on this attempt to impeach the president once again?
Again, this is Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and that crowd, AOC. They're not just impeaching the president. They're impeaching half of the American people. Because half of the American people, they believe that there were some highly irregularities in this election, and them doing an impeachment is going to further divide this country, not unite this country. And Joe Biden should have been the first one. If he talks about, and he doesn't mean it, it's a script he's reading about healing this country. How does that heal this country? But they want to impeach him because they don't want him to run again in 2024 if he decides to do so. And so I just don't see where it helps any at all. It's going to be running out. When I say it's going to be running out, they're not going to have enough time to pass it through the Senate. So what's the purpose of that? It's just, that goes to tell you they're not for the American people. They're for their own special interest.
Mr. Jones, Republican Vernon Jones, want to thank you for being on today. We appreciate it. We look forward to what you got planned as far as out there crisscrossing the country, getting what we call the truth out there. We appreciate it very much. Always great to have you on, sir.
Well, thank you so much. And I want your listeners to go. I founded a new conservative organization, wakingupamerica.us, wakingupamerica.us. Reach out to me. Let me know what you're feeling, and be a part of this grand new ideas with the grand new party. Or we're bringing a grand new party to the grand old party. Come on, let's do it.
There you go. We'll do it. Thank you very much. You have a great day, sir. Again, always thank you for being on with us.
You got a deal. Have me back, please.
All right. Republican Vernon Jones. Okay. good to introduce him that way to you, the viewers. We're going to take a brief break, and we come back in about 5 minutes. We will have Georgia Speaker of the House, David Rossin, will be joining us, and we're going to talk about election integrity. We'll be back right after these messages.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Circuit World has complete queen bedroom packages at amazing prices. Get this queen bed, dresser and mirror, 1 nightstand, bedding set, and free 32-inch TV, all for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this complete queen bedroom set and sleep in style, also for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. What an incredible deal! Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
New year, new Chevy. Let's get it done at Days Chevrolet in Jasper with huge savings on the Chevy trucks you want, like $8,000 off new Silverado crew cabs, or save over $7,500 off a new Chevy Equinox. Every Chevy truck and SUV discounted big. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done. Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done. Find new roads.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World has 9-piece living room packages at incredible prices. Get this stylish sofa and love seat, 3 tables, 2 lamps, 43-inch 4K TV, and stand, all for only $1699.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this 9-piece living room and reclining sofa and reclining love seat, now only $1999.99 or $149.99 a month. These packages are amazing. Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
All right, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on FYNTV.com. Yesterday, the 11th, started the Georgia 2021 legislative session under the Gold Dome. Now, we have been waiting. You have been waiting because we're wondering what will happen where our election integrity is concerned. But there's a lot going on in this session. And joining me now is Georgia Speaker of the House, David Ralston. Mr. Speaker, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Brian. Thank you very much.
Well, let's start out with, first of all, you were elected Speaker of the House to open the session again, except for, and I don't want to put a damper on it, except for a couple that did not vote for you. And usually leading the way, if we put it in there, is House member David Clark. So congratulations on being reelected as Speaker of the House yesterday.
Well, thank you very much. I was very honored. Back in November, the Republican caucus voted 90-2 to reelect me. Then yesterday we had a bipartisan vote. I think it was 158-10. 8 members of the Democratic leadership voted against me, and then two members of the Republican caucus, same 2 that voted against me in November, voted against me. So, but it was a great day, and I think the sense I got was that people are looking forward to moving forward and tackling some important issues that matter to Georgians.
Well, I want to, when you say important issues to Georgians, I don't want to get stuck on this, but, yesterday afternoon, I looked at the vote tally on the wall, and it showed the vote tally. and Representative Clark had put up there, that you had been reelected as Speaker, and instead of posting all the great things that could happen in the session, changing maybe some election laws and some things that happened, he took that opportunity to blast you. I mean, I don't know if you read it, and I don't want to waste your time on that, but I just thought, wow, we should be focusing on what we can get done in this session. But he really took an attack at you, and again, I don't want to take our time talking about that.
Well, basically, that representative is irrelevant, and he's not even considered to be relevant by members of the Republican caucus. I don't read his stuff because whatever he says makes no matter to me. I remember a few weeks ago I was told that he was weaving this incredible fabrication that I had lied to the president, that I was twisting the arms of members of my caucus to vote a certain way, that I kept secret files on members, I guess to blackmail them. This was just stuff that it was just completely science fiction. So, part of his irrelevance, I think, stems from the fact that, he's either a pathological liar or he has some really serious emotional and mental issues that his family really ought to help him deal with it.
Well, and again, we got to get to other things, but I'm glad you said that. For those that don't know, it was House member, David Clark, after your conversation, which you did not release to the Washington Post, you did not record and release to the media like someone else did, but it was your conversation with the President of the United States that he made all kinds of comments saying, that you had lied to the President of the United States. So, we'll move past that, but let's use that really quickly. What disinformation was out there? Because we're getting into the session and people are looking at voter integrity, and I want to get right into that. But what disinformation was out there in the mix of all this media hype in the last couple months, especially since November 3rd, that you think the citizens of Georgia needs to be cleared up, at least where you're concerned?
Well, there was a whole laundry list of things that were put out there that simply were not true. Number one, I got a lot of emails, many of which are from out of state, by the way, most of which, that said that I had the power on my own to call a special session of the General Assembly to deal with some of these issues. That is absolutely not true. There are two ways, and I want to be very clear on this. I want people to hear me out. This is not, this is a little contrary to what some of the people out there spreading these things want to tell you. But there are only two ways that the Georgia General Assembly can go into a special session. Number one, 3/5 of both the House and the state Senate have to petition for a special session. Well, here's the reality. I do not have 3/5 of the House now as Republican. So that was not going to happen. The other option, the other way, is for the governor to call us in. The governor was clear that he was not going to call a special session. So there was nothing that I could do to call a special session. And if you think through that, Brian, why would you let one person, the speaker, whether it's the Speaker of the House or the Lieutenant Governor or the, whoever it might be, have that kind of power? It just makes no sense. So that was one myth that was out there. There were others that we could somehow decertify the Biden electors. Well, okay, let's talk about the reality of that. Now, and look, let me say, I've been on your show many, many times, and we've talked about all the great things that Donald Trump did over the 4 years that he was president. His policies, I think, were very, very good for this country. And frankly, I'm very concerned now that we're going to be led by a completely opposite view of the world by Biden and Harris. So I was disappointed with the result of the presidential election as much as anybody. I supported the president, campaigned for the president, so I stood by him. Now, having said that, though, the question became, could we decertify the Biden electors and then just decide on our own to send the Trump electors to the Electoral College back in mid-December and then have their votes counted last Wednesday? The answer to that is no. The power of certification of electors is only with the Secretary of State doing it initially. It then goes on to the governor for ratification. So they are the only two by law that have input into who we certify. And without making excuses for either one of them, they'll have to, defend their own actions, as I will, to the extent they need defending. We passed a law, it was back in the 1950s or 60s, that said that the electoral vote of Georgia would go to the candidate who received the most popular vote.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Not to interrupt you, but I was getting ready to say I was pretty sure that it was somewhere in the 1950s, a law was passed in Georgia that the electors go to the popular vote winner.
Correct. So,
okay.
So for that to have been changed would have required, it could be changed, but it would be changed legally only in a way that would not apply to this election, because to have applied it to this election would have been changing the rules in the middle of the game, and it would have been clearly unconstitutional. It would have been as if last night, when Alabama started pulling ahead of Ohio State gathered in the locker room at halftime and said, okay, we're going to change the rules for the second half. You don't do that. You simply do not do that. So that was another big myth that was out there too, that I think needs to be cleared up.
Well, let me say this. I know there's a lot in the 2021 session. You have a budget, and you have a lot of people concerned about many things outside of voter integrity. But I want to do this. I have gone and done some research in the last couple weeks. I've gone to a couple meetings and sit in the back of the room. I've listened to voters on the ground and not different media outlets. You said in a press conference last Thursday, tell the people what an election integrity committee, who's going to chair this? Do you know who's on it at this time? And what are some of the things you're looking to see come out of this?
Well, let me begin by diverting just a little bit, because you mentioned a couple of other things. Obviously, we're going to work very, very expeditiously to pass a state budget this year, because we don't know what's going to happen with the pandemic. And if we get into a situation like we had last year, we at least want to keep state government open. So I think you're going to see the budget process move a little quicker than normal. Secondly, we're still dealing with a pandemic, and people are still very, very concerned and fearful. There's some concerns out there about we're not getting the vaccines out as we should, particularly in the rural parts of the state. We're looking at that right now. I think it's important that we get those vaccines out there and get them out there quickly. So then the other issue that I talked about in my acceptance speech yesterday was election integrity. And so here is what I plan to do this session. This is going to be a priority for the Georgia House of Representatives. I have announced that I am going to create a special committee to look at this issue and look at all of the legislation that comes regarding it. I think it is simply going to be too much to have a committee that has other matters come before it to deal with, and so I think that we need a committee that is devoted solely to election reform issues. I have not officially named the members of that committee yet, nor have I named the leadership of the committee. We were hoping we could have done that by the end of this week. That's still a possibility. I don't want to be locked into any deadline. We're out next week for budget hearings. It could be early next week before we get it done. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it right because, we've had a lot of other things to deal with coming into this session, such as preparing the Capitol once again for the pandemic. Security concerns are weighing heavily on the minds of members and those who must be around the Capitol. So we've had a lot of other things to deal with. But that's the first item, is create that committee. Secondly, I don't know everything that's going to be in the legislative package, but here's where we're going to start. We're going to start by going back to some issues that I started talking about last January and on into March, when I was sort of the only one out there talking about it. We're going to abolish the jungle primary. I don't know who can defend that. So we're going to abolish it. We're going to take away the authority of the Secretary of State to do a universal mailing to every registered voter in Georgia. Every registered voter in Georgia, sending them an application for an absentee ballot. That was completely not thought out well. People have never had a problem getting an absentee ballot. Reasons for voting absentee, I think we're going to look at those. I know some are talking about no excuse. I'm not sure. I'm not yet prepared to go there because, I don't know how long we're going to be in the pandemic, and I know that a lot of senior citizens in the 7th House District voted absentee because they were fearful of going to the polls or even going to the elections office and vote early voting. And I get that. So I think we have to sort of recognize that that's a part of it. But here's the thing, and this I think is at the heart of my concerns about election integrity. The level of security between an absentee ballot and an in-person vote, and by in-person I mean early voting or election day voting, the level of security should be identical, should be the same. You shouldn't be able to have virtually no safeguards on an absentee ballot and then have to show your ID and go through that process when you go to the polling place to vote. So we've got to deal with that. I think people really want to see us fix that.
Well, Governor Kemp said, voter ID requirements for absentee ballot is definitely something that he is very firm on. So is that what you're talking about, and why I have you there? Has there been any discussion with the Lieutenant Governor's office and the governor and yourself? Has there been any discussion between the three of you on a direction to go in this session where what changes may need to come up and what legislation should hit the floor?
We've talked generally about some fundamental points that we think should be in the package. The governor is a former Secretary of State. I'm sure he's going to have some ideas and a legislative package. The Lieutenant Governor may have one. We will have one from the House. I've even heard the Secretary of State may have one. I'm not sure who will carry it for him. And I'm not sure how credible it will be received when it gets to the Capitol, but that's a subject for another discussion.
May I just ask, am I down the right road that constitutional officers in the state of Georgia have what's called a legislative liaison to bring what they feel needs to be legislation or introduced? Is that correct?
They have those liaisons. The liaisons are simply there to educate members about what it is the constitutional officer wants. At the end of the day, there's going to have to be a member of the House or a member of the Senate sign their name to the bill and put it in the hopper.
Got it. Well, I would like to know, I don't want you to get sidetracked, but I'd like to know the member that wants to put one of the Secretary of State's bills with their name on it. So anyhow, moving right along, I just saying, I don't know who that member is. I have a couple quick things that I really want to get to you in the last 6 minutes that we have. These are the things that I hear is, number one, I'm going to say a lot of people say they're tired of hearing that if you do this and you do that, you'll just end up in court with Stacey Abrams. And there seems to be a pretty good appetite in the state with some people saying it's time to fight some of these things in court because they're not afraid to. And let me give you one of them. When we have a runoff election, and I know this was done in court and we didn't have time to go back, and a judge ruled against this one time. But when we have a runoff election, shouldn't we look at closing voter registration on the runoff, where recently Democrats registered another 70,000 voters for a runoff? I mean, shouldn't we look at something like that? Also, campaign finance under the guise of grants. I mean, I understand it gets when you start talking about campaign finance, but the Center for Tech and Civic Life under Mark Zuckerberg came out with $350 million. You got drop boxes. They can pay poll workers. They could buy the mobile units, drop boxes. Should that be something also looked at in this session?
Well, I'm not a big fan of the drop boxes, except the drop boxes that are outside the elections offices, such as I know there's one, I think in Fannin County, the only one is outside the Fannin County Courthouse. I don't have any problem with that. That's in a secure area. I'm not sure Gilmer County may have the same.
They have one.
Okay. And I have no problem with that. But this business of having drop boxes scattered all over town is unmanageable and just opens up for the possibility of fraud, and so I think we have to take a look at that. Going back to your point about lawsuits, you know, let's look at the lawsuits since the November 3rd general election. If when I hear people say, well, we shouldn't be afraid of going to court, let's go to court and fight it. Well, there were at least 6, and there might have been 7 lawsuits filed on behalf of the, maybe not, on behalf of the president's team, to give the president relief. Every single one of those was thrown out of court. So where are we? Or how are we better off because of those lawsuits than we would have been had we not done them? You know, when you talk about Ms. Abrams and lawsuits, that may be talking about the consent decree or the consent agreement that Secretary Raffensperger entered into last March without the knowledge or input of the General Assembly to settle a lawsuit, and that made a significant change in our voting law. And so I think you're going to see some effort made this session to overturn that agreement, and also not only that, but going a step further, making sure that neither the Secretary of State or other constitutional officers can run around settling cases in a way that results in fundamental changes to our law without approval and input by the people's representatives.
What challenges are you up against when Democrats are quoted in articles already saying if it's not broke, don't fix it? And they're saying they can't find where the election system is broke. So they're saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So what do you think the challenges are in this session of getting some things corrected as people feel needed in our election laws in Georgia?
Well, they're not only saying that, but they're, you know, every time you start talking about some of these issues, then, you know, you hear people start talking voter suppression. We've had the highest turnout in the history of Georgia in the last 2 election cycles, in 2018 and 2020. I don't know whose vote's being suppressed. You know, I mean, everybody is getting an opportunity to vote. We do absentee voting. We do early voting for 3 weeks. We do election day voting. I mean, we may have given every possible opportunity for people to vote. And frankly, I'm a little impatient now with this business about voter suppression. I mean, obviously, this is a big issue for the Democratic Party, and I expect they're going to, you know, to fight us very, very aggressively, and it's going to be a very, very contentious debate in both the House and the Senate.
Let me say this, it is 9:30, and I know that's the end of our time, so I'd like to give you an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to close with something that you wanted to make sure you talked about that may be a concern to Georgians out there that is going to take place in the session that does not relate to the last election.
An issue that will come up that doesn't relate to the election?
Yeah, there's got to be something in this session.
Well, I think there's going to be a few things. I think you're going to see some discussion about our freight and logistics system here in Georgia. There's a pretty healthy appetite to bring up the issue of online sports betting. You know, I have some concern about that. A lot of people think we're losing a lot of income to, for example, Tennessee because of that. So I think you're going to hear a fair amount of discussion about that. And, you know, Brian, the truth of the matter is there's always a big issue that comes up that was on nobody's radar at the beginning of the session. So we'll have to settle back and see what that might be.
Mr. Speaker, we thank you very much. We know we're over time and session is on. And as soon as we can get the details on the Election Integrity Committee, hopefully by the end of the week, we appreciate it. Okay?
Thank you very much. And we'll come back on and talk about it if you'd like.
Yes, please. I know the people want to stay in touch. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Brian. Have a good day.
All right. That's Georgia Speaker of the House, David Ralston. We're going to come back. We're going to take a brief break. We have some things we want to break down on that call right there. This interview. I want to break down a couple things there. I want to go over a couple things that I'd like to see come out of this Election Integrity Committee in Georgia, and a couple things that I think they need to talk about down there in the session. Also, some things going on with big tech and the upcoming impeachment of the President of the United States. BKP Politics. Be right back.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World has 9-piece living room packages at incredible prices. Get this stylish sofa and love seat, 3 tables, 2 lamps, 43-inch 4K TV, and stand, all for only $1699.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this 9-piece living room and reclining sofa and reclining love seat, now only $1999.99 or $149.99 a month. These packages are amazing. Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
We're back. I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics, okay, on FYNTV.com. I feel like, like your parents who broke the country. Who broke the country? Somebody tell me who broke the country. MAGA did it. MAGA did it. Yeah. MAGA. It was MAGA. Okay, so let me say this. Let's put this up. This is in Forsyth. Folks, around the country, yes, this is a real billboard, number 64. Put this up. Treasonous rhinos, lock them up. Traitor Kemp, traitor Raffensperger. My understanding, this is in Forsyth County, Georgia. Traitor Kemp, traitor Raffensperger, treasonous rhinos, lock them up. So, if you are around the country, pay attention, because what I'm about to tell you, maybe you could implement in your state. So I'm going to tell you the Election Integrity Committee. First of all, I told you this yesterday, okay? Don't get sidetracked. You got it? Now, if I want to say this because I'm not negative. All right, first of all, we don't give a rat's, okay? Okay, Bill Belichick, number 34. Okay, we want to come back to that one, whatever that number is. We don't care. Bill Belichick, we don't care. We don't care if you want the Medal of Freedom. We don't care. You turned it down. We really don't care. All right? Just saying. Just saying. Don't care. Don't lose track of what's really going on here. All right? And what we have to do and make happen. Where is it at here? Give me number 37. Trump and Pence meet for the first time since Capitol Hill insurrection, okay? So supposedly they had a meeting. Now, yesterday, I guess, because I'm going to tell you, they're doing things on purpose. I'm going to ask you nicely. Don't click on things, damn it. They're going to crash your computer. They're going to be in. Well, they're already in. If you don't think they're already watching, if you don't think they already know. Look. When you get an email that says WikiLeaks has dumped everything, okay? When you get an email, it says WikiLeaks has dumped everything and the president is in a secure location under a military base. When you get that, click here. If you next thing you know, you're out there looking for Hunter Biden's laptop repairman, I can't help it. Just be careful with files you open, okay? If you click on something and they're coming after you, they're setting your ass up. Seriously. So if you click on something, it says, this file may lead you to an unsecure location, okay? Well, look, Geraldo, don't go into Al Capone's vault. There's nothing there, okay? But a virus to crash your whole system or to steal your data. Well, they already got all your stuff. I got it. I'm just saying it nicely. Be careful, okay? So yesterday, the State Department's website, for some reason, I could see this flying around. There's probably millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people watching that dude across the pond connecting all the dots for you, okay? I'm just saying, I know I'm going to get attacked. But easy, caution. I mean, yesterday evening, supposedly the Secretary of State, our State Department website showed where Pence had resigned and Trump had resigned, Pence and Trump resigned at a certain time. And supposedly after that, it was so Pence could become president and pardon Trump and this whole thing. Be careful, okay? Now that you find out they had a meeting yesterday, there's going to be so much stuff going on out there. Trump and Pence met yesterday, okay? Now, that being said, what I'm getting at is don't take your eye off of what you have. I know people are going to get what's important. Look, there's a fraction out there, and I don't mean small, but there's a fraction out there because the whole country has fractions. There's a fraction out there that think on January 20th that, Trump will still be president. I think if you look around the room, I could not be happier if that was the case, okay? But I also know the deep state and what they are doing, all right? So let's go back to 64, what I find is important. What I find is most important right now is don't let all these other things overshadow. If you have never focused in on your state legislature, okay? Big tech, are you upset with big tech? Are you worried because all of big tech came together? Like Cosa Nostra or whatever it is, the five families? Seriously. Are you concerned that the five families came together in a dark room and shut Trump down, shut you down? Just like that? If you're that concerned, you need your state senator, okay? You need your state senator. You need your House of Representatives member, your U.S. senator, which is useless in Georgia now, your state representative. Now, if you act right, okay? If you act right, I think you could still go visit your congressional member of Congress. I know people that do that. Now, I don't know if they're going to shut it down to where you can never visit them again. But I think if you act right, you can go visit them. And you can knock on their door. And if they're people, you could go to the capital of Georgia and knock on the door. Now, they are discouraging visitors. That's what they say. But it's your house. Big tech, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, wherever you're at. Do you have groups not storming the Capitol? Do you have groups headed to the Capitol? Do you have groups that are letting your lawmakers know that you're not okay with big tech and what they did on a state level? They need to know loud and clear. Now, let me get to Election Integrity Committee, okay? Voter security, okay? ID requirements. Absentee ballots. No more no excuse absentee ballots. Period. No more no excuse absentee ballots. Okay? We need to get it to where an absentee ballot has to be requested. You request one ballot, you verify you're a registered voter for that ballot, and then the Secretary of State sends you that ballot. You have to have an excuse to need an absentee ballot. I do not drive. I don't know. I'm a senior citizen. I live in senior care. I'm disabled. I'm out of the country. I will be out of the country. I will be out of the state at this time. Whatever. But there has to be an excuse to get an absentee ballot. Period. That's not voter suppression. If you can get in a car or any other form of transportation and go to the polls, you have to go vote. Now, I don't want to hear the COVID. I don't want to hear COVID still exists. And some people are afraid to go vote. Stay your ass home. Now you want a drop box. I don't like nothing about the. So absentee ballots, let's be clear. You have to have a voter ID. You have to have a legal identification to get one. You have to request it. The Secretary of State has to send it to the party requesting it. I mean, this stuff of social media, having pictures of people getting 8 and 9 applications for absentee ballots. This stuff of different groups sending out absentee ballot request forms. I mean, they were coming from all over the place. I mean, I had somebody say, well, the Republican Party sent me a request form for absentee ballot. The Democrat Party, these people. No, there was millions of mailers put out for absentee ballots. It has to stop now. You have to get that done now in your state house. And take no excuse. Yes, it has to be excused. And you have to request it. In a runoff in Georgia, let me give you this, okay? Because I have the damn facts. That's what it always amazes the damn people. I'll bring you the damn facts. Okay, here it is. I'm tired and we don't want to go to court. Listen up. So we had this jungle primary. Oh. And it was against Karen Handel and Lucy McBath. Okay? No, John Ossoff. Karen Handel and John Ossoff. So remember, what's his name? Is it Tom Price or whatever? Former HHS secretary, former congressman from the 6th District of Georgia, right? So here's what happened, all right? We had the jungle primary, Ossoff and Karen Handel were the two top vote getters going into a runoff. We said no more voter registration. And we said, no, this is that election. No more voter registration. And they took it to court. And they found a liberal judge. We didn't fight it. Let me be clear. We did not fight it. That has to stop. It's got to go all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to, whatever. All right? In the election, the runoff between David Perdue and John Ossoff, between that time and the election, 75,000 new registered voters. Now, I can't remember if it was 70,000 new registered voters, if it's the same number of that became of age. So on January 3rd, when that race happens, you either have to be of legal age to vote and you have to be legally registered to vote. If you are those two things, even if you don't vote then, you can vote in the runoff. But as soon as that election takes place, that window for that election is closed to new registered voters. Period. Okay? We have to take that to court and fight that. And we have to. 70,000 new registered voters. Stacey Abrams, we can't be afraid of her. Drop boxes. Now, I'm telling you this because it has to stop. All right, everybody, when we talk about every time we talk about campaign finance, okay? Every time we talk about campaign finance, everybody gets squirmish and they run away from it. But if it goes under a grant, you can only give so much money. But the dark money, Center for Tech and Civic Life, Mark Zuckerberg, what, $300 or $350 million, Center for Tech and Civic Life. Fulton County, DeKalb County, they were able to look in Pennsylvania. You got $350, you got millions of dollars. It went to swing states. And you were able to get these grants to buy drop boxes, okay? You were able to get the grants to pay staff. Election offices could use it to hire new election staff. Yes. And you could also use it to buy the mobile voting units, pay the power bill, whatever. That has to be put a stop to immediately. This is where you have to go to your state capital. You got to get these battles, fight these battles. I don't care who likes the way I put it. Jungle primaries, we'll get into that later. What are you not hearing anywhere? Anywhere. You didn't hear it here? You're not hearing it anywhere. Are we going to replace these voting machines? Will there be a serious investigation into the voting system that was used in the last election? Are we going to just let it go? All right? Nobody's talking about it. And I will say, last but not least, a voter database. Will there be a voter database? Now, I understand we don't want to federalize our elections. I get it. We don't want to. But it's like I said earlier in the show. I could go over and cross the state line. I could do it in 15 miles. I could actually do 2 state lines, 15 miles, and I could actually go over and say, hey, I'd like a driver's license, and immediately they will say, you have a Georgia state driver's license. You can't have one in our state. So I'm not for sure a voter database, which people don't like it when you say database, that we should know that people go around and register in 2 different states. In fact, I'm not knocking college students, but colleges are the worst for voting registration in their home state and, their college. All right. Now, one more thing. I will get into Brian Kemp at a different time. But Brad Raffensperger, I want to say, still to this day, should resign as Secretary of State. Jordan Fuchs, okay, supposedly, and I'm going to say supposedly, because God knows they're all waiting to sue somebody now, okay? But number 50, it's an embarrassing morning. Number 50, it's an embarrassing morning to be broadcasting from the state of Georgia, which I do love. I've been here 20 years. I might have been here longer than 20 years. Hell, if they find out I've been here, maybe it's like I'm grandfathered in or something. I love Georgia. I like it here. I don't go to the big city. No. I grew up around the big city. I had enough of that. I really did. It's the one thing I had to get away from. I grew around working in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and going down to Delaware. That list goes on, right? I had enough of that. So I like it. It's embarrassing this morning to be part of, from Georgia, the Trump impeachment push. Not only did Georgia fail the president on all levels, and I'm sorry to put it that way, we did. Not only did Georgia fail the United States of America on all levels. I'm sorry, folks, if you don't like it, we did. Not only did Georgia, you're saying, no, I didn't. I got it. But not only did Georgia, fail the United States of America where the Senate's concerned. Now Georgia has to be listed in the damn impeachment. We are right there in the impeachment. Prior efforts include a phone call on January 2nd, 2021, during which President Trump urged the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, to find enough votes to overturn Georgia's presidential election results and threatened Secretary Raffensperger if he failed to do so. Yeah, it's interesting. Just think, I tell you what, 5 minutes. Now, so I think maybe it's time that Georgia, supposedly the Deputy Secretary of State of Georgia, Jordan Fuchs, recorded the president while in Florida and released that to Washington Post, okay? So just saying, maybe it's time to have two-party verification. All right. Number 62, Vernon Jones did not seem to disavow our president this morning. Okay. Number 59, I want to say this before we go. Number 59, several Capitol police officers suspended over pro-Trump riot. Get ready. They're going to go. I told you this, beginning of the show. They've gone from defund the police to we need to make modified changes, systemic racism, and we need to work with our police officers kinder, gentler. Oh, no, the key word there, code is get Trump supporters out of law enforcement, just like getting Trump supporters out of the military, okay? Nationwide manhunt, number 58. Nationwide manhunt. FBI has received 70,000 tips. They're looking for you. FBI is asking for people to identify you, okay? So don't when I say number 56, in call with Minority Leader McCarthy, Trump falsely blamed Antifa people for storming the Capitol, right? Preparing for the inauguration, number 54. Let me see what else. Let me make sure. I do have a final statement I want to make. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Inciting a riot. Bill Belichick, we don't care. Okay. So let me say this, okay? Preparing for the inauguration. Let me be perfectly clear, okay? Let me be perfectly clear. I always say, why am I the bad guy? What if, okay? I'm not advocating. I want to be clear. I'm not advocating, condoning, nothing. See, I was not in D.C. I did not go into the Capitol. I did not break any windows, and I did not storm Nancy Pelosi's office and scare her staff. And I'm sorry that they were. I did not carry zip ties into the Capitol to have pictures taken where I was rummaging around looking for a lawmaker, maybe to tie to one of their chairs. Would you not have liked to seen? Not liked to seen. What the hell? I mean, what if with the media, what if one of these people in the Capitol, okay, would have taken a zip tie and found one of the lawmakers. And one of these little wusses would have wet their pants, zip tied them to like a chair. That's not okay, but what if one of them would have wet their pants? They all wet their pants. I think we should have, I'm not making fun. I think we should have some kind of story of how many lawmakers actually wet their pants, okay? Or just soak their Depends, because they're all 80 years old, right? I mean, lucky I'm wearing my Depends, right? So anyhow, that's one. So if you're going to attack, let me say this. What if they'd have found Nancy Pelosi and they would have sent out messages? We have Nancy Pelosi. We have her zip tied to her chair. Just saying. She's zip tied to her chair. Could you see the freaking out of all the cross-dressers over at MSNBC and CNN? Wouldn't you love to see the cross-dressers at MSNBC and CNN running around wild and doing the report? They've got Nancy. I did not advocate harming anybody. I promise. I didn't. It's not okay. But I'm just saying. Why am I always the bad guy? All right. I'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. You come back and join me.